Mcat. Hello, thanks for coming. Okay, very not tech savvy. That's me, in case you didn't know what I looked like. I was born and raised in DFW. I got my BFA from the University of Mississippi in 2018. Very different place, Mississippi, than urban Texas. If you have any questions about that, let me know. I'd love to talk about it. Post-grad, I came back to DFW, worked a lot of odd jobs for 4-ish years, all while still making work, and then decided to go back to school, got my MFA just recently at UNT last spring. And I'm currently adjuncting at UNT in the drawing and painting department and teach a lot of traditional painting techniques. So if you have questions about that, let me know. I had to include my dog. Taylor's gonna laugh, but when I'm not teaching or making work, I love to be outside, I love to garden, I love to hang out with my dog. And I love cooking, and hosting dinner parties. If anyone wants to have a dinner party, let me know. And I think all of those things are important because I think subconsciously everything that we do feeds into our work. So that's why I included it, not just because I wanted to show you my dog. The root of most of my work is that I'm a painter first. I call myself a painter, but I really lean into intuitive play, and I don't mind straying from the traditional painting techniques to explore different ideas and things that I'm thinking about. So I will always claim I'm a painter, but I do a lot of things. So painting's first, but I like to explore all different mediums. I have a background in dance. My mom was a dance teacher, so I grew up at a dance studio, and I think that really informs how I think about how I move throughout the world in space and how I relate to other people in space. And a lot of my work is thinking about empty spaces or negative spaces and what can happen there. I've kind of I work abstractly, although I'm going back to a lot of realistic iconography. We need to talk, probably. And I'm kind of leaning that way more into some more realized imagery, but mostly I do a lot of abstraction. And I've created this, I have this Rolodex in my head of things that I equate with certain emotions or experiences that are either color-based or shape-based, and that's where everything kind of comes from for my paintings. I really like the Transcendentalists. They're kind of woo-woo, but I think they're fun. And so their work definitely influences my own, and the belief in this idea that there could be this other world or other beings that exist alongside us that we can't see. I grew up with a woo-woo grandma that used to tell me about fairies and stuff, so that probably plays into it. But very much, I like the idea that maybe that's escapism, but we all can use a little bit of escapism every now and then. So I like the idea that there could be these different portals and worlds that exist alongside our own and within our own. I like the juxtaposition of hard and soft and kind of play with that in my work. I think about weather phenomena and wind a lot, which you can't really see wind if you break it down to what it truly is, unless it's acting on something else. And so that kind of leans into the idea of something that's abstract. I kind of have two modes of working, and they're on two different sides of the spectrum. I either work really large in 8-foot giant panels or canvases. I also work really fast, so I'm usually working on multiple things at once because I'm a little ADD and I like to jump around. So here's just kind of detail work this is from my thesis show last spring. You've probably seen giant panels out in the studios as well that don't look at the construction too close. Anyway, I was on a budget. Recently I've started making these dioramas, little shoebox worlds that I'm building, and I build them physically in a 3D format, small, and now have blown them up into a larger canvas and think about them as spaces that I could enter into, because I felt like a lot of my work was a little flat, and so trying to create the depth, I was like, I'm just gonna physically build it so that I have it and can see it that way. So those are some of my recent ones. Again, like I play with presentation and like weird cement blocks, and I've done soft sculpture and all of that too. This is my other mode of working. I work really small or on the 8-foot scale. So I usually am cranking out like anywhere from 2 to 5 pieces a week that I just start. I think of them as kind of like sketches or snapshots of those bigger works. So that's my second mode of working. I'm trying to go really fast, I'm sorry. My goals for joining the Cedars was to have a community that I'm so glad to have now, just to be further integrated into the Dallas art scene, really utilize the space and the resources that are so lovely for us to have here. And I'd love to show more work nationally and maybe internationally, and aiming for more residencies and opportunities and whatnot, and would love to do any collaborating or have dialogue just about work, because I love talking about philosophy and stuff. So. Sorry, I was talking really fast, or fast for me anyway.
So with the small work, do you ever look at them as like thumbnails and like previews to the larger work, or are they completely separate?
They're not separate. I think all of my work kind of works as building blocks on each other, or like there's tethers in between everything. It kind of goes back to that transcendentalist of interconnectedness idea. I think sometimes they're snapshots of things, and sometimes they're just smaller scale of like the big world that I'm picturing. But I feel like I learn more in those little ones, and I learn quicker, and so that's why I like to have that practice of producing smaller work every week, because I feel like I'm learning more because I'm able to produce them quicker and like do some problem solving without the stakes of a giant piece. Yeah.
Could you explain more like the shoebox dioramas that you're doing? Like, are those pieces in themselves or just studies for pieces? And I don't know what's in them.
They probably, I haven't made one that I feel like is like to the standard of what I would hope like a finished piece would look like. Like there's usually like some tape hanging out and like, you know, all their inner parts are showing. I mean, I picture them as like sketches, or that's how I'm treating them right now. Maybe in the future, I really like doing installation work, and I've done that in the past, so I could see in a future world where I make a larger scale of that's maybe a more finished piece. I don't know about the shoeboxes being a piece themselves though. So I think of them as sketches for right now.
I started doing like self-portraits.
So in the thing dinner party, those little ghosts or those blobs, and toe in the art world, kind of outlined in the red, and I started.
Do 3D comparison.
Do 3D comparison. You feel a connection to the person.
Like I said, I came from Nicaragua when I was a little. And I'm gonna read like what I wrote here, as a lot of my colleagues are. All right, well,
So my goal for Cedars is not respond, but you can follow me if you want.
So here's a little bit about what I've published in the past. We were talking about this the other time. Yeah, I would love to.
It looks much smoother on my screen.